Hello and welcome, dear friends. I am Zishan Hashmi and I am presenting a very important lecture pertaining to the strategy that you must be following in the coming few days before the prelims examination 2020. My dear friends, why is this lecture so important, or for that matter, why is the component of strategy very important part of your preparation? My dear friends, preparing without having a proper strategy is like venturing into uncharted waters. My dear friends, many students put in lots and lots of hard work, lots and lots of time in preparing for the prelims, preparing for the mains, but ultimately many a times they end up losing out, or they end up just getting marks near the cutoff mark. So what happens is, ultimately till the prelims result is out, they are just frustrated and they are not very certain about the result, and they are not able to put in 100% effort into their mains preparation. So dear friends, for that matter, a proper and robust strategy is a very vital component of each and every civil services aspirant's preparation process. My dear friends, I'll be keeping today's lectures very simple and as comprehensible for you as possible. I will be dwelling on 5 rules, 5 facets of your preparation strategy that everyone among you must be following. Alright, my dear friends, let's very quickly explore the 5 rules, the 5 facets of your preparation. The first rule that we'll be talking about is that you must be solving and you must be practicing logical solving techniques, or Tigdams as we call them at Civils Daily. Why are Tigdams an important part of your strategy? My dear friends, if you see how the UPSC prelims paper has been evolving in the last 2-3 years, knowledge alone is highly unlikely to sail you through the prelims examination. Tigdams, logical solving techniques, have become a vital component. You need to take calculated risks. You need to be creative in approaching the examination, and that's precisely why Tigdams have become very important. Fine, my dear friends, let me explain this to you by solving few questions from the 2019 UPSC prelims paper. These questions, which seem to be very difficult but can be easily solved through Tigdams. Let's see how. The first paper from 2019 prelims paper is: which of the following is not a sub-index of the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index? Okay, and the options are: option A, maintenance of law and order; option B, paying taxes; option C, registering property; and option D, dealing with construction permits. So my dear friends, this is such a question about which if you haven't read anything, then it's very difficult to answer this question. But using Tigdams, we can answer it very easily. My dear friends, if you see option B, option C and option D, paying taxes, registering property, dealing with construction permits, all these 3 options pertain to economic activity. But option A, maintenance of law and order, it's sort of an odd man out. It has nothing to do with economic activity, either directly or indirectly. So my dear friends, if we assume this option A to be right, and if we mark it right, taking risk, we will end up marking the right answer. So please understand what have we done here. We assume that we did not have any knowledge about these sub-indexes. Even then, we took a risk and marked option A, and ultimately we got it right. Let's take another example from 2019 UPSC prelims paper itself. And the question is, consider the following statements. Statement 1, the Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act 1959 exempts several posts from disqualification on the grounds of office of profit. Okay. Statement 2, the above mentioned act was amended 5 times. Alright. Statement 3, the term office of profit is well defined in the constitution. So my dear friends, this question from polity is also very specific in nature, especially statement 1 and statement 2. If you haven't read about it, you can't know for sure whether this act was amended for how many times, whether 5 times, 10 times or 50 times. Similarly, statement 1, it's very specific in nature. But our point of interest here is statement 3. What does it say? The term office of profit is well defined in the Constitution of India. So my dear friends, here I use the theorem of relying on your knowledge of cursory reading or cursory knowledge of newspaper. If you have been following newspapers or current affairs magazines, you must have read about the controversies, the lot of hue and cry going around the post of parliamentary secretaries, especially in the state of Delhi. Not only Delhi, but many other states have these posts of parliamentary secretaries, and there are many controversies going around it. If we think logically that if this term office of profit was very well defined in the constitution, then these controversies wouldn't have arrived in the first place. These controversies have arrived precisely because the term office of profit is not well defined in the constitution. So that's the logical thinking that goes into our mind. And if we take that risk and eliminate statement 3, then let's see what are we left with. My dear friends, we are left only with the correct answer, that is option A, 1 and 2 only. Please understand what have we done here. We assume that we did not know anything about this particular theme being asked, about this particular theme revolving around office of profit, but even then we took risk. We used that theorem, eliminated one statement, and we got to the right answer. Now let's take third and final example from 2019 UPSC prelims paper itself, and the question is, consider the following pairs: wildlife and naturally found in. Option 1, bluefin mahseer is found in Kaveri river. Statement 2, Irrawaddy dolphin found in Chambal river. Statement 3, rusty spotted cat found in Eastern Ghats. So my dear friends, here option 1 and option 3 are very difficult to answer, even if you have vast reading of environment and environment related current affairs. It's very difficult to know for sure whether bluefin mahseer is found in Kaveri or rusty spotted cat is found in Eastern Ghats. But statement 2 is a point of interest here. What does it say? Irrawaddy dolphin is found in the Chambal river. My dear friends, even if you are following current affairs, even if you are following newspapers, monthly magazines or basic texts of environment, you can say it for sure that Irrawaddy dolphin lives in brackish water. It doesn't live in fresh water. So there is no chance that Irrawaddy dolphin can be found in Chambal river. So assuming statement 2 to be wrong and eliminating statement 2, let's see what are we left with. My dear friends, we are left only with the correct option. Option 1 and 3 is the correct answer. Please understand the beauty of this question. How have we solved it using theorem? We had no idea about rusty spotted cat. We had no idea about bluefin mahseer. But even then we got this question 100% correct using our theorems. And these theorems are applicable on many more questions. Take example from 2019, 18, 17, etc. Okay, dear friends, talking about theorems, I am taking dedicated theorem lectures as part of the Decimate Prelims program, presently functional at Civils Daily. I am taking special lectures, special score boosting lectures, in which I am going to teach students how to answer questions about which they have little idea or no idea at all. Already few of my lectures are freely available on YouTube and they are helping students in more than one ways. And the lectures I am going to take as part of the Decimate Prelims are going to be even advanced versions that of the lectures that are freely available on YouTube. So if you like this component of theorems, you can explore more about it by clicking on the link in the description box below. Fine, my dear friends, let's very quickly explore the remaining 4 rules. The second rule, the second facet we will be focusing upon is analysis of past 5-year question papers. Yes, this is one of the most neglected aspects of preparation. Candidates just don't give it importance, but on the contrary, past year question papers must be treated as your Bible. They are the best guiding light as to how you should be preparing for the examination. Let me give you an example from the 2019 prelims question paper itself, how it helps you in trend analysis, trend interpretation. So the question is, what was the purpose of intercreditor agreement signed between Indian banks and financial institutions recently? So my dear friends, what does this question tell us? This question tells us that NPA, from UPSC point of view, NPAs are an important topic, and whatever new things, whatever new initiatives, new jargons, new phrases come up in relation to NPAs hold importance. Like in this particular case, intercreditor agreement held importance. So whenever you start studying for prelims examination and you come up, you see new things pertaining to NPAs, you will tend to mark them as important and you won't skip them, right? So that's how it is helping you in trend analysis and helping you to not skip important sections of the syllabus. Let's take a second example from 2019 prelims paper itself, and the question was, with reference to communication technologies, what is or are the differences between LTE, long-term evolution, and VoLTE, that is voice over long-term evolution? So my dear friends, what does this particular question tells us? It tells us that UPSC is interested in technologies that have implication on everyday lives. For example, earlier a question was asked on near field communication. If you just see your smartphone, most of the smartphones have these functionalities of NFC, near field communication, and they are using this VoLTE or LTE technology. So while reading current affairs, while reading other subjects for your prelims examination, you will tend to emphasize on those important facets, and you will tend to skip unimportant areas if you analyze the past year question papers thoroughly. My dear friends, as I have already pointed out, analysis of past 5 years also helps you to differentiate wheat from chaff. What do I mean? I mean that while studying, you can easily differentiate important and unimportant things, and as you must be knowing, in this process, knowing what not to read is equally important as knowing what to read. So just let me explain to you by taking this example from technology domain. There was a news recently that scientists have found a breakthrough in which, by using sound and light, data could be transferred at rates as high as 100 gigabytes per second. But my dear friends, this particular news item is completely irrelevant from exam point of view. And how do I know that? I know that because I have analyzed past year papers very thoroughly. UPSC doesn't ask questions from technology domain which are still in the domain of research, right? As I have earlier talked, these technologies must have implications on everyday life, or these must have implications in the present context or in the near future. But this particular question, this particular technology doesn't fall into that category. So it is completely irrelevant. Please understand what we have done. We have seen how analysis of past 5-year papers helps us to streamline our preparation process. It helps us to save our time, save our energy. My dear friends, speaking about the analysis of past 5-year papers, I would like to talk about the innovative DDS session that is being held as part of the Decimate Prelims program. DDS is nothing but daily doubt solving. In this special initiative, students are made part of a Telegram group and they are free to fire any query of all sorts, and that query is resolved within a time span of 15 minutes. So my dear friends, at a time when time is crucial, time management is very crucial, this initiative comes in very handy. You just need to fire your question and just leave it to the mentors, and the mentors will get back to you within 15 minutes with a comprehensive and satisfactory answer. And my dear friends, it also helps you to keep you in touch with the ongoing trends, right? Studying in silos is not something advisable for a civil services aspirant. So secondly, it is helping you to create a close-knit network of serious civil services aspirants. Thirdly, my dear friends, DDS as part of the Decimate Prelims program is helping both working aspirants and non-working aspirants equally. As I said, time management is a crucial issue, so it helps you in many ways, not only managing time but also being in touch and in many other ways possible. So my dear friends, if you like this component of DDS, you can explore more about it by clicking on the link in the description box below. Alright my dear friends, let's very quickly move to the third rule, to the third facet, that is current affairs. There are many questions revolving the topic of current affairs. Let's take them step by step. First, how much coverage is really needed? My dear friends, looking at the present format of the prelims paper, you need to cover a minimum of 2 years of current affairs, and if you have the time and luxury, you should be covering a current affairs of at least 3 years. A minimum of 2 years extendable to 3 years. Let me make it more comprehensible to you by giving you examples from the 2019 prelims paper itself. Let's look at this question. The question is, as per the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 in India, which one of the following statements is correct? My dear friends, this question was asked in 2019. So you can see how UPSC is going back as far as 3 years when it comes to current affairs. Let's take another example from 2019 prelims paper itself, and the question is, which one of the following statements is or are correct regarding the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017? Again, this question was asked in 2019 UPSC prelims paper. So I hope you are understanding that what I'm saying, you need that covering current affairs of minimum 2 years is a must, right? And if you have that luxury, extend it to a maximum of 3 years. Don't try to go beyond 3 years, that would be an utter wastage of time. Okay my dear friends, another question pertaining to current affairs that comes to minds of many people is that how to skim through current affairs, like how to extract value, how to know what is relevant and what is irrelevant from exam point of view. Let's take an example from 2019 paper. This question, in India, extended producer responsibility was introduced as an important feature in which of the following? So my dear friends, looking at this question, we can say that there are certain parameters that around which, if the news revolves around those parameters, that holds importance. Just for example, in this question, the phrase extended producer responsibility holds importance. Why? The parameters that I am setting is that if that particular jargon, if that particular phrase, if that particular piece of news has a real implication on India, has some real societal benefit, has some real economical benefit, some real economical implication, environmental implication and so on, then that piece of news is really important. And the other things you can just skip, my dear friends. And in this way, in this manner, by skimming through current affairs, you can save a lot of time and effort, my dear friends. Fine, my dear friends, talking about current affairs, as I have already mentioned about Decimate Prelims. Under that program, already 2.5 years of current affairs has been compiled for you. It is compiled in a way which is very objective and very relevant from exam point of view. So if you like, you can explore it and find more about it as part of the Decimate Prelims program. Okay, my dear friends, let's quickly move to the fourth rule, the fourth facet of your preparation, which is test series. Test series are a very, very important component of your preparation. But the question that arises is how to utilize test series very, very prudently. Many students, what they do is that they write tests just for the mental satisfaction. They write tests and they are done with it. But that's not the proper way how it is supposed to be done. You need to analyze those tests as well. What do I mean by analysis of tests? Just take this question for example. The statement is, members of State Public Service Commission are appointed and removed by governor of concerned states. Obviously, this statement is wrong. So, it is not sufficient just to know that removal is done by president. You need to brainstorm over it. You need to think over it, and you need to interlink different topics, different subjects. You need to think that why is this statement incorrect. You need to think that which other bodies have similar provisions. You need to think and you need to get more information on State Public Service Commissions and so on. My dear friends, this is what I mean by analyzing the test series. Secondly, my dear friends, test series should be used for temperament building. Most of the candidates, what they do, they use test series as a component of knowledge building. Yes, obviously you get some knowledge, some new information from test series, but that must not be your main motive for attempting tests. Your main motive should be to train your mind for the real examination. Let's see an example from 2019 paper and make it more comprehensible. The question is, with reference to land reforms in independent India, which one of the following statements is correct? And its correct answer is, the sealing laws were aimed at family holdings and not individual holdings. So, my dear friends, this question was sort of a bouncer, in the sense it was not directly related to the syllabus, but it related to the post-independent consolidation. So, what we need to do by solving test series is train our mind to face such kind of bouncers and have that creative thought process of attempting such questions. And lastly, my dear friends, you need to revise your test series. Yes, many a times what students do, they just solve their tests, they see their explanations and just leave it there. You don't have to follow such hit and run method, right? Revision of test series is very, very important. What you can do is, in every test, you can earmark a set number of questions, say 10 or 15 questions in every test. Those questions which may be such questions that you have no idea about, or you feel they are important from exam point of view and so on, and create a repository. Assuming that you are solving 30 to 35 questions and in each question you are earmarking 10 to 15 questions, then you will have a repository of around 500 questions which can come very, very handy in your final revisions. All right, my dear friends, moving on to the last rule, last facet for today, revision. How to revise both static and current affairs. My dear friends, there is no one set rule for revision, but I would share I would like to share with you some good practices which have worked for me, which have worked for many toppers, right? So one thing that you can do is you can follow phased revision. Now what do I mean by phased revision? You need to understand that you cannot grasp each and everything from a book or a booklet in the very first reading itself. Say for example Lakshmikant, right? You need multiple readings. But what does phased revision mean here? For example, if you are taking 10 days for first reading of Lakshmikant, when you start second reading, when you take the book for second time, you must be able to finish it in 5 days. Third reading, somewhere around 2 days. Fourth reading, somewhere around 1 day. And lastly, just before your examination, it must not take you more than a few hours to revise entire Lakshmikant. That's how it should be. Basically, you should be condensing your content from exam point of view with every subsequent revision. You can use various techniques like highlighting, underlining, annotating, whatever suits you best. But the basic rule remains same. You need to condense the content with every successive revision. That's one thing. Another thing pertaining to revision that you must understand is that you need to alternate between subjects. Now what do I mean by alternating between subjects? Some students have the habit of studying one subject at a stretch and finishing that subject before they take on other subject. But I personally believe that's not a very prudent strategy. Say for example, if you are studying polity at a stretch of 15 days and you plan to study history for another 15 days. And in this way, when you are done with the last subject, it is highly likely that you will forget many important things that you had studied in the very first fortnight in polity. So that is how human mind works. Basically, what you need to do is rapidly picking subjects. For example, if you have finished first reading of Lakshmikant, you should be taking another book, say history, Bipin Chandra or Spectrum for that matter. Finish it very quickly and take the third subject, and you should keep that rapid pace and keep alternating between subjects. So it will help you also to keep your interest alive. You will not get bored very easily, and retention of those subjects will also be maximized, my dear friends. And thirdly and lastly, what you need to do as part of your revision is that volatile subjects need to be kept for last readings. Just for example, polity is a very volatile subject, and if you read polity first and you start reading other subjects later, then it is highly likely that you may forget or you may not be able to recollect many and important nuances of polity in the mains examination hall. But if you keep polity just before the examination, it will remain in your fresh memory, and there are high chances that you won't forget important nuances related to the subject. Similarly, history has many facts and figures. It is also sort of an volatile subject. You can read history just before polity and you can devise your strategy in a similar way. All right, my dear friends, let's quickly have a look at all the 5 important rules that we have discussed today. First is Thigdams or logical solving techniques. Second is a robust analysis of past 5-year papers. Third is utilizing current affairs in its proper way. Fourth is utilizing test series very prudently. And fifth, how to revise very efficiently and prudently. So ultimately, my dear friends, everything boils down to a proper strategy. I hope you liked today's lecture and you incorporate these important strategies into your preparation process, into your own strategy, and derive maximum benefit out of it. So I would like to end this lecture of mine with my favorite tagline, that don't only work hard, but more importantly, keep working smart.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civils Daily.